In this video, I will prove that the properties of the virtual unit or virtual function are true. But first, you need to understand what a virtual unit is. The virtual unit j is a non-real number, which is defined as j equals the natural logarithm of -1. So let's get started. First, let's discuss the properties of the virtual unit, and then we will prove them. Even property, the virtual unit has a coefficient, and if this coefficient is even, the result is 0. Mathematically, n times j equals 0 if n is even. And for virtual functions, n times vk equals 0 if n is even and k is greater than 0. For example, 2 times j equals 0. Odd property, if the coefficient of the virtual unit is odd, it will result in j. Mathematically, n times j equals j if n is odd. And for virtual functions, n times vk equals vk. For example, 3 times j equals j. Non-integer property. If the virtual unit j has non-integer coefficients, it will remain unchanged. Mathematically, n times j equals n times j if n is non-integer. And for virtual functions, n times vk equals n times v of k. For example, 1/2 times j equals 1/2 times j. Now let's prove them so that we can be assured they work and are consistent in the virtual system. First, let's prove the even property, proving the even property. Let's take an equation of the form x raised to 2n equals 1, where n is an integer. This equation has 2n roots according to the fundamental theorem of algebra. Let's test for n equals 1. So the equation becomes x squared equals 1. As we know, this equation has two roots, +1 and -1, or in the virtual system, its roots will be e raised to 0 times j or e raised to j. But what are roots? If we put a root back into the equation, we'll get both sides equal. So valid roots must satisfy the original equation. But you might be wondering, how can I prove the virtual unit property using this equation? Don't worry, here's the twist. Now that we know the roots, take the natural logarithm of both sides. Mathematically, we can write 2 times natural logarithm of x equals natural logarithm of 1. And you know that the natural logarithm of 1 is 0, so it becomes 2 times natural logarithm of x equals 0. So this equation is the same as the original. The root of the original equation must satisfy this equation as well. Let's test for x equals 1. Now the new equation becomes 2 times natural logarithm of 1 equals 0. Before we continue, we need to understand when a product equals 0. For example, if we have a product of a and b that equals 0, there will be three possibilities that satisfy the equation. 1, a is 0, but b is not 0, then a times b equals 0. 2, a is not 0, but b is 0, then a times b equals 0. 3, a is 0 and b is 0, then a times b equals 0. 4, if neither a nor b is 0, then a times b is not 0. So for our equation 2 times natural logarithm of 1 is 0, we apply the second condition. Since 2 is not 0, this means the logarithm of 1 is 0. That means 0 equals 0, so the first root was correct. Now let's move to the second case where x equals -1. So we had the equation 2 times natural logarithm of x equals 0. Now put x equals -1 and we get 2 times natural logarithm of -1 equals 0. Are you familiar with the natural logarithm of -1? Yes, it's the virtual unit j. But for now, we'll leave it as it is. What does this equation mean? 2 times natural logarithm of -1 equals 0. Here we have to check which one is 0 so that we get a 0 result. As 2 is not 0, then does it mean the natural logarithm of -1 is 0? But this is not 0, because if it were, it would imply that x squared equals 1 has only one root, and 1 and -1 are equal in real numbers. This would violate the fundamental theorem of algebra. So if neither 2 nor the logarithm of -1 is 0, how do we get results? If we say that this is undefined or not true, then it means our original equation has only one root, 1, not -1. But we know the equation has two roots, so this equation is also true. Now, as Jay said, a times b will not be equal to 0 if a and b are not 0. But why are we stuck here? Don't worry, I have a solution. Actually, the natural logarithm of -1 is not defined in the real system, but it is defined in the virtual system. So to solve this problem, we must take 2 times natural logarithm of -1 as 2 times j as one unit instead of separately. Here, we can apply the rule. For example, b equals 0. There is only one condition that follows this equation. B must be 0. In our case, b is 2 times j, or 2 times the natural logarithm of -1. As we know, logarithms of negative numbers are undefined in the real system, so we can't apply the power rule in the real system, but we can apply the power rule in the virtual system. So it becomes natural logarithm of negative raised to the power of 2, which times 0. Now both sides are equal, and for n times j equals 0, we can prove it from this equation. X raised to 2 times n equals 1. Take the natural logarithm of both sides, so we get 2 times n times natural logarithm of x equals 0. Since x equals minus 1 is a root of the equation, we can write 2 times n times j equals 0. This proves the even property. We can use the same approach for odd powers. Proving the odd property, let we have any equation x equals negative 1. This equation has only one root, which is negative 1. Take the natural logarithm on both sides, we get natural logarithm of x equals natural logarithm of negative 1, or specifically j. So if negative 1 is the root of the original equation, then it must satisfy the second equation as well. If we put x equals negative 1, we get j equals j. Similarly, for the equation x cubed equals negative 1. And this equation has three roots. Now take the natural logarithm on both sides, we get 3 times natural logarithm of x equals natural logarithm of negative 1, or specifically j. So all three roots must satisfy the original equation. The above cubic has three roots, negative 1, omega, and omega inverse, so they must all satisfy the new equation. But before we continue, let me tell you the roots of a cubic in the virtual system. The first root is negative 1. The second root is e raised to j over 3. The third root is actually the inverse of omega, which is e raised to negative j over 3. You can get roots using the virtual exponential function. Now let's test and verify. Let x equals negative 1, and we get 3 times j equals j. Use the power rule, and we get j equals j. Now put x equals omega equals e raised to j over 3 into the new equation. We get 3 times natural logarithm of e raised to j over 3 equals j. Using the power rule, we get 3 times j over 3 times natural logarithm of e equals j. 3 cancels out with 3, and log e is 1, so we get j equals j. For the third root, 3 times log e raised to negative j over 3 equals j. Using the power rule, we get 3 times negative j over 3 log e equals j. 3 cancels out with 3, and we get negative j equals j. Don't worry, it's still valid. We know j is the natural logarithm of negative 1, so applying the power rule works here too. Now we get natural logarithm of negative raised to the negative 1 equals j. After simplification, we get j equals j. For the general case, we have an equation of the type x raised to 2 times n minus 1 equals negative 1. Take the logarithm on both sides. We get 2 times n minus 1 times x equals j. Put x negative 1, and we get the proof. 2 times n minus 1 times natural logarithm of negative 1 equals j, or 2 times n minus 1 times j equals j. That was the proof of the odd property. You have seen that 2 times n times j is a unit, not a separate number, so j is not equal to 0, and the same applies to odd cases. Now that we've explored these properties and their proofs, I hope you have a deeper understanding of how the virtual unit works. If you found this explanation helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into virtual mathematics. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.